Hey, what's going on, guys? For those of you who want to get into the color correction video right away and don't want to hear me talk, just skip ahead to this point. I know what it's like to be on YouTube and people come in, they're like, hey, how's it going? It's been a while, let's chat. But if you want to just get into that, skip ahead to this. But for those of you who want to chat, let's do it. Good to see you guys. In case you didn't watch my last video, I have a little small announcement. I was supposed to go work on a film set in Quebec with about 40 or 50 crew members. So we all had to go into a bubble and we all had to go get tested for COVID-19, and unfortunately I tested positive, but I was okay, completely asymptomatic, just had to quarantine, and now I'm out back into the real world, taking all the social distancing precautions I can, but I'm clear of COVID, praise the Lord. COVID clear. Feeling good, but if you're wondering why I have this hairdo, it's because when you're in quarantine and your wife's a hairstylist, you both get bored and you do things. But let's talk about color correction today. But before I do that, I'm just gonna move this mic. The mic is in frame, but it'll sound better when I'm looking at the screen. I know this is what YouTubers love to do, putting mics in the frame. Talking about color correction, the most important part of your frame, arguably, is the skin tone. This is usually the hero of your film or the person you're interviewing or whatever you're shooting. The skin tones are important because it's what makes us human. But how do you know how to make skin tones look right? What is right? I mean, there's lots of ways to judge that, but there's one quick way for you to know if you're in the right kind of ballpark, if you're in a good place for skin tones. Also, just want to mention too, I'm using Premiere because a lot of you guys have it. There is better color correction software such as Resolve, but in this case, we're just using Premiere because, you know, it's pretty accessible. So let's quickly look at this shot here. This is a shot from me last year. You can already see probably even on this camera here just how green this shot was. I was using some sort of fluorescent light that I don't use anymore, and you can see how much of a green cast it was putting on there. So right away I could make the corrections, but if you want to know exactly if your skin tones are kind of in the right ballpark, like what I was saying, so you're going to go up to Window and you're going to turn on your lumetri scopes. Now I already have them right here. Then what you're going to do is you're going to run over to your effects controls and you're going to go to your opacity, and you can either grab one of these masks or this pen, and you're going to draw a little square here or a circle, whatever shape you want, as long as it's just skin tone. And then what you do is you'll pull open your lumetri scopes, and you notice this X here. See, I never knew what this was for the longest time, but what this X is here, this line specifically, is kind of what skin tones should look like. And why that's a default for everyone is it's kind of what we call the blood line. It's the color of blood. And that's the cool thing, is all humans, no matter what skin tone or what shade of skin they have, our blood is the same color, which is why racism is so stupid, because we all are made of the same things. So you can look right now that our skin tone, you see this little spike here, is shooting way over into the yellow, kind of closer to the green. So what we can just do in this case, because that green light was kind of over the whole scene, I'm just gonna move our tint. And I don't always suggest using tint because it changes the whole image. You can sometimes just go into mid-tones, which is kind of skin colors, or even go into a secondary, which maybe I'll do in another video. But what I'm just gonna do is come up over here and drag this over until this is getting closer to the bloodline. And you can see here now that this little spike is going along this line. So when I come back to my effects controls and I turn off this mask, I'm just gonna click the FX. You can see right away that I am a lot less green. Here it is before. Let me just turn off the lumetri. See how green it is? Now, when I put the color correction back on, I'm in a much more even human-like area, where before I was kind of looking like a green monster, but now my face is much more even. So I can immediately just adding, you know, a bit of a curve back here into the scene, maybe add a little saturation to it, and I'm looking much better. Where if this tint was back to 0 where it had been, you can see I look like Shrek. So that's all you're gonna do, is you're going into the lumetri scopes and you're gonna turn on a mask. You can even do this, watch, I'll delete this mask. You can even do a circle here and just make this tinier. But what you're trying to do is just grab a section of clean skin. So don't have like a shirt or a pair of glasses in there. Just grab a nice area that's evenly lit of the skin tone, or not in the shadows, so that you get a lot of good information. And again, we're jumping back here. You can see where that spike is. So I'm just grabbing the tint and bringing it closer to the bloodline. And so to prove that this works on all skin tones, we're just gonna jump over here to another project. And this is a shot of Natasha. It's from this latest documentary I've been working on. We don't have a title. I'm working on it with another director called Kwesi Thomas. named Quincy Thomas, that's his name. He's an amazing dude, and I know I've been talking about this film for a really long time now, the past few months, but you know, I got COVID-19 and a few other things have been happening. We will finish it soon, cannot wait to release it, but it'll happen when it happens. But looking at this shot, you can see here with Natasha that there's a bit of a magenta in her skin tones. Not so much in the background, maybe a little on that wall there, but in her skin tone, there's a bit of a pink, a magenta. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run over here to my opacity, and I'm gonna grab this mask button. In this case, I'll draw a square. You can see right now it has a bit of the background in her eye, so I'm just gonna adjust it just so we're getting skin tone here. And then I'm gonna go over to my scopes tab, click on that, and you can see right away this little peak here, which is the skin tones, is going over closer to the magenta and the red. So I'm just gonna grab our tint, or maybe in this case, I'll move our midtones over a bit. Yeah, let's move them. You can even see as I shift those midtones over, it's getting closer to this bloodline, and I'm gonna add a little green. Let's see what this is looking like. If you don't want to delete the mask every time, you can just turn the opacity off. Yeah, you know what? That's looking much better. So here's the before, and you can see the after. It's a much more even look. And that's all it is you're just getting your Lumetri scopes out, you're putting a little mask around the skin tones, and you're looking where that little spike is going. If it's going too far into the yellow, you're gonna have to run down to your midtones and add the opposite color. Just like painting, if you wanna get rid of something, you sometimes add the opposite to it. If you're working with an overall change, like if you did the wrong white balance for the whole scene, then you can use your temperature and your tint. But when you're just trying to dial in on one thing like the skin color, that's when you want to start going into the midtones. Or you can even run down here to the HL secondary, click this plus button, and you can grab the skin color, and then watch this. When I click this gray color, it shows me that I'm working mostly with skin. But the problem with using a piece of software like Premiere is this isn't that great for really highlighting and focusing on really specific colors. I know that Resolve is much better at this, and there's other things like Colorista and even better software than all of those that can really hone in on the skin colors. But this is kind of just the general thing if you're working on some quick corporate videos or weddings or documentaries, whatever you're doing, YouTube videos, this is a quick way to understand how to make your skin colors look great. So I hope that, guys, that helped. Let me know if you have any other questions down below. Make sure to wash your hands because yes, you can get COVID, and I'll see you guys in the next one.